Welcome back. In my first video, I invited you to learn how to be an expert with a handgun. I invited you to learn how to shoot with precision with a handgun. Now, you may not actually achieve expert status, you may not achieve sharpshooter status, but I guarantee you're going to shoot the best you can shoot. You're going to be the best shooter you can be. The various forms of shooting that are involved in precision pistol shooting is actually a competitive sport which is defined under the NRA rules, and you can download this rule book from in PDF form or online from the NRA site, and just look for NRA Precision Pistol Rules. If I can remember, I'll leave a link to it, and you'll get the whole PDF, which you can either read on your screen or you can download it. Now, I think it's a 72-page booklet. The rules are very extensive and it covers everything from the type of targets, the courses of fire, the type of handguns used, and everything else. I'll just briefly touch on those in this particular video. First of all, the targets used are bullseye targets. Now, understand this one here happens to be the official NRA 50-yard slow fire target, and as you just take a look, that 10 ring is quite small. It's not uncommon for shooters of even intermediate capability are able to keep all their shots inside that black at 50 yards all the time, or inside the black on a 25-yard target. The 25-yard target, the same size scoring rings, but the bullseye is simply smaller. It reduces it by one scoring ring. So that's the type of target. There are various different ranges. So this is a 50-foot indoor target. This one here is timed and rapid fire, and I'll explain what those are. There are 20-yard targets and so forth. Now, is slow fire. Slow fire is 10 minutes given to fire 10 shots in NRA competition. CMP competition is 5 minutes to fire the same number of shots. Timed fire is 20 seconds to fire 2 strings of 5 shots each. So you get 20 seconds to fire 5 shots and you do 2 strings. Rapid fire is 10 seconds to fire 2 strings of 5 shots. So you fire 1 string of 5 shots in 10 seconds, then you fire your second string of 5 shots in 10 seconds. So that's the basic breakdown of what you'd call one course of fire. The maximum number of points that you can have in a full sanctioned event would be 2,700 points. A very high shooter, you know, there's the 2,500 club, there's the 2,600 club, and so forth. These are people who are pouring their shots into the 10 ring all day long, with very few that go outside the 10 ring. Just think about that looking at that target. But remember that although we're shooting a bullseye competition, this is the quintessential art form of handgun shooting, which will take you right over the top easily with all other endeavors. Whether you're shooting silhouette, whether you're shooting defensive, whether you're shooting steel plates, whatever it is, bowling pins, you're going to be way beyond every other person on the line if you know how to shoot with the techniques that I'll show and describe in great detail, teaching you everything that I've learned in all the years that I've shot and in all the years that I have taught other shooters how to shoot. I've been doing this for basically now for over 50 years. Most of the techniques that I will teach you are probably things that you've never heard before, things that you will never find in print. And as I explained in my last video, I want to teach you things that are not generally exposed by other competitors in this world, because people who compete don't really want to give away information that will cause them to lose. They just, you know, they harbor information. Well, I'm not a competitor anymore, so I'm not harboring information. I'm giving it away freely. The types of handguns being used, we discussed what the targets are. The handguns being used are any caliber from 22 to 45 auto, and there's two classifications. There's open, which means that you can shoot any handgun with open sights and with a telescopic sight. Open means that it's open to anybody who has virtually any handgun. The only thing that's excluded is you cannot use peep sights. You cannot use a device which will project a image on the target, for instance, like a laser or something like that. That's open category. So this could have a scope on it, or I can shoot open sights. In metallic competition, you're restricted to open sights on any handgun, and it cannot be a peep sight. Barrel length cannot exceed 10 inches from the rear face of the cylinder to the muzzle. So I would actually be permitted to use this large gun right here, which has it's 9 1/4 inches from the rear of the cylinder to the muzzle. And while it's permitted, it would certainly be more gun than I'd want to fire through an entire course of sanctioned competition. It's just a little bit too heavy. There's a good happy medium between having a heavy barrel which holds you steady on target versus a gun which becomes ungainly and very tiresome. A very common form of handgun use classically has been the 1911 handgun. That's in the 45 competition. That's been the standard 45 for many years, ever since the NRA first began shooting these matches. So that's also highly popular in the 45 category. While it was one time quite popular to shoot revolvers in the middle class, normally people call it the 22, the 38, and the 45 competition, you know, in slow fire competition is absolutely fine. You can rest your gun down and take a break, and when you're ready you can cock it and bring it up and fire your next shot. Slow fire is no problem at all, but in rapid fire and in timed fire it requires that one continually cock and shoot with one hand, and against a person who is using a converted auto, when I say a converted auto, I'm talking about 45 autos and 38 supers were often converted to 38 wad cutters and 38 special wad cutters, and they had a great advantage on the line. So I think it was recognized that it was a rather expensive conversion. Those were expensive guns. They were rather fussy. Sometimes they weren't all that reliable. So the NRA over the years has opened up the rules to permit, autos of any, semi-autos of any kind to be used in the intermediate classes between 22 and 45. So those are the guns involved. Now, we've talked about the ranges, we've talked about the sights, we've talked about the calibers. The courses of fire, basically, we've discussed that as slow fire, timed fire, and rapid fire. So you have a 900 point possible. That means you fire three courses. So each course has a possible of 300 points. 10 points per shot, and you're firing the 30 shots in each course. So 3 courses in a stage means that you have 900 point possible. If you're firing a 3-gun aggregate, which you're firing a 22, say a 38 and a 45, that means that you're firing a 2,700 point possible course. That's the full course. There's also 22 rimfire aggregate course, where you fire the entire course with just the 22 pistol. People who shoot in the 22 aggregate course do not combine their scores with the people who shoot in the 3-gun aggregates, because that's obviously it's an unfair advantage. But their scores are separately qualified and separately classified. So, that's a very popular thing to do. Now, before I leave this particular video, let me again stress, don't worry about the fact that the bullseye looks like something passé from days gone by. I'm going to explain to you, and I'm going to show you why the bullseye is really not even part of the game. The bullseye is only a scoring device. I'm going to explain to you the paradox that exists in precision shooting, where if you're aiming at the target, you'll never hit it. Now I'm going to leave that up in the air as a jump ball for you to munch on, but if you're aiming at the target, you'll never hit it. You're not going to be very good at hitting it, put it that way. Shooting with a handgun involves your sights. It involves sight mechanics, sight alignment, grip, posture, breathing, position, and all the things that I'll describe. But the shape of the bullseye is only a scoring device, and that's all it is. So thanks for watching. Tune in again as we start through this process. Don't forget to subscribe, tell all your friends, and God bless.